On November 5, 2024, Donald Trump once again became President of the United States. He defeated then Vice President Kamala Harris to win a second non-consecutive term. He became only the second president in history to win two non-consecutive terms, since Grover Cleveland did in 1892, and the first Republican to do so since Cleveland, who was a Democrat. With the 2026 midterms approaching, things aren't looking good for Republicans. Here are the things some of the controversies surrounding Trump that could cost Republicans the House and/or Senate in 2026. 10 imposing tariffs. While on the campaign trail, Donald Trump said he would impose tariffs on various countries, stating that the tariffs would bring back American jobs. Many economists disagreed with Trump, saying that the price of tariffs would be passed on to the consumer. Many companies have already raised their prices to help pay for the tariffs. Even some fellow Republicans disagreed with the president imposing tariffs, such as Kentucky Senator Rand Paul and conservative commentator Ben Shapiro. Many critics even accused the president of weaponizing tariffs, such as putting a 10% tariff on Canada for showing an ad of former President Ronald Reagan opposing tariffs, and putting a 50% on Brazil for prosecuting former President and Trump ally Jair Bolsonaro. Critics have also argued that the tariffs are unconstitutional due to the fact that Article 2 of the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse, not the president. 9. Mass deportations. Shortly after Trump was sworn in for his second term, President Trump would invoke the Alien Enemies Act. This, however, would be later blocked by the Supreme Court. He wasted no time deploying ICE to sanctuary cities such as Chicago, Los Angeles, New York City, and Portland, Oregon. While Trump has said that he would deport the worst of the worst, he has gone far past that. Trump has been accused of deporting people who have documentation to work in the U.S. ICE has been accused of violating people's civil rights, using excessive force, and concealing their identities. The Trump administration has also been accused of providing migrants with little to no due process, as well as putting them in detention centers that have deplorable living conditions. Then there's the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was illegally deported on March 15, 2025, to the Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, in El Salvador. While there, Garcia suffered multiple human rights violations, but was later transferred to a lower security prison. After several legal battles, the Trump administration was ordered by the Supreme Court in a 9-0 ruling to return Garcia to the United States. Garcia was eventually returned to the United States. The Trump administration still insists that Garcia is an MS-13 gang member, something that he and his family have both denied. Garcia is currently in ICE custody, being held at the Moshannon Valley Processing Center in Pennsylvania. Another controversy arose when migrants boarded a plane to El Salvador. While the plane was in midair, Judge James Boasberg ordered it to turn around, but the Trump administration ignored this order, and the plane landed in El Salvador. Judge Boasberg would later find probable cause to hold the government in contempt, but it was later blocked by an appeals court. 8. Potential violation of the Emoluments Clause. Now, there are two types of emoluments in the U.S. Constitution. One is the Foreign Emoluments Clause, and the other is the Domestic Emoluments Clause. Here we'll discuss the Foreign Emoluments Clause, since that's the one his critics are accusing Trump of violating. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution says that no person holding a federal office of profit or trust can accept any gift, office, or title from a foreign state without the consent of Congress. The clause was written as a way to prevent foreign influence, which means any present, office, emolument, or title cannot be accepted without approval from Congress. In May 2025, the Defense Department or War Department accepted a jet from Qatar and announced that they would be working on converting it into Air Force One. Democrats urged Republicans to open an investigation to see whether Trump violated the Emoluments Clause, but Republicans refused. 7. Drone strikes in the Caribbean and Pacific. On January 20th, President Trump signed an executive order designating the cartels as a foreign terrorist organization, including Tren de Aragua. Trump accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of working with the cartels to orchestrate drug trafficking and illegal immigration into the U.S. On August 19th, the United States would send 3 amphibious assault ships and 2 other U.S. Navy vessels near Venezuela. On September 2nd, the U.S. would carry out its first strike. Trump said that 11 people were killed in the strike, and the video was later released, but no drugs were seen aboard the boat. Over the next few months, the drone strikes would continue. Democrats and some Republicans accused the Trump administration of carrying out extrajudicial killings and not providing any evidence. The strikes would eventually get the attention of the United Nations as UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk condemned the attacks, saying they violated international law and that to stop immediately. 6. Mid-year redistricting. In June 2025, President Trump urged the Texas legislature and Texas Governor Greg Abbott to redraw the Lone Star State's congressional districts to add 5 seats to the House of Representatives, giving Republicans the upper hand to try to hold on to the House after the 2026 midterms. California Governor Gavin Newsom warned Abbott that if Texas gerrymandered their map, California would do the same. Texas would soon follow Trump's request as the Texas legislature would gerrymander their map. All Texas Democrats in the legislature strongly opposed the new map, saying that it was a power grab by Republicans. So much so that Texas Democrats would flee Texas to try to prevent the map from becoming official. Texas Democrats would eventually return to Texas, and the map would end up passing. Lawsuits would later be filed to prevent the map from becoming law. Other states like Ohio, Missouri, and North Carolina would gerrymander their maps as well. California would introduce a bill called Proposition 50, which would allow California to gerrymander their own state. On November 4th, 2025, Californians vote overwhelmingly to redistrict the Golden State. California Republicans and the Department of Justice have filed a lawsuit against the state in opposition. 5. Impoundment. Impoundment isn't anything new for the president to do. That all changed, though, in 1974 when many people accused then-President Richard Nixon of abusing impoundment. Because of this, Congress passed the Impoundment Act of 1974, which stripped the president of impoundment power to put a check on the president's power. Impoundment may be illegal, but that hasn't stopped Trump from doing it anyway. The Trump administration has argued that the Impoundment Act is unconstitutional, but many judges have disagreed with the administration's argument. In response, the Trump administration has appealed to the Supreme Court. 4th, January 6th, pardons. On January 6th, 2021, President Trump held a rally called Stop the Steal to protest the results of the 2020 election. Shortly after Trump left, his supporters marched down to the Capitol to continue to protest. Shortly after, the crowd grew more hostile, assaulting police officers and forcing their way into the Capitol, where Congress was certifying the votes. Many lawmakers were evacuated to a safe location, including then Vice President Mike Pence. The riot lasted for hours before the National Guard was deployed to restore order. Since that day, Trump has expressed sympathy towards the January 6th rioters, going as far as to call them hostages. On the campaign trail, Trump said he would look at all the cases to see who would get a pardon and who wouldn't. But once he was sworn in, he decided to pardon them all. This was one of his first controversial moves since returning to the White House. Some of the people who were pardoned would end up reoffending. Trump would issue a second pardon to a person who reoffended. 3. Deploying troops to blue cities. In June 2025, ICE continued capturing and deporting migrants in Los Angeles. ICE's actions sparked widespread outrage across the city. Trump used the disorder as a reason to federalize the California National Guard and deploy them and the Marines into Los Angeles against Governor Newsom's wishes. The state of California then filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, accusing them of violating the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits the military from being used as domestic law enforcement. The president also deployed troops in D.C. and tried to deploy them in Chicago and Portland, Oregon. Judge Karen Immergut, a Trump appointee, issued a temporary restraining order, blocking the deployment of the Oregon National Guard. Trump tried to get around this by deploying the California and Texas National Guard, but that too was blocked by Judge Immergut. Trump tried to deploy troops to Chicago but was blocked by the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. 2. The weaponization of the Justice Department. Since its inception, the Department of Justice has always acted independently and been nonpartisan. That all changed when Trump got back into office. Almost everybody who worked in the Justice Department was fired by Trump and replaced with political loyalists. Trump has used the DOJ to go after his political foes, including New York Attorney General Letitia James, Congressman Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell, James Comey, and John Bolton. Many of Trump's rivals have vowed to fight him in court and have requested the cases be thrown out. Will they? Only time will tell. 1. The Epstein Files. Trump and Epstein were considered close friends in the 1990s and early 2000s. The two would have a falling out and go their separate ways. In 2018, Epstein would take his own life in his cell. While campaigning, Trump said that he would release the Epstein Files. On July 7, 2025, his Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that there was no client list after saying on Fox News that the Epstein Files were sitting on her desk, ready to be reviewed. This sparked outrage among his MAGA base, accusing him of backtracking on his promise. Another decision by the Trump administration was sending Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche to speak with Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. If that wasn't strange enough, Trump had Maxwell transferred to a minimum security prison in Texas. Congressman Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna started a petition to require the Department of Justice to release all the files. All Democrats and 4 Republicans signed the petition. The petition had a total of 217 signatures, just needing one more. Representative Adelita Grijalva agreed to sign the petition, which would give it 218 signatures to force a House vote. But before she could sign it, the government entered a shutdown, and House Speaker Mike Johnson said that Grijalva would be sworn in once the government reopens. On November 13, 2025, the government reopened, and Grijalva signed the petition. Mike Johnson would then announce that the House would vote on the petition Tuesday, November 18th. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos. I'm Silence Do Good, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.